making some pretty cool cars and trucks for some time now. Now they're back again with their newest one, the CA51, and it blends the best of both worlds with grip and drift racing. So let's open this up and see how it looks. Okay, so here it is, the CA51, SNT's first multi-purpose car. Now, SNT has been improving on the cars every iteration with these multi-link independent suspension here, all the way down to this impressive all-wheel drive system on their trucks and SUVs. So let's see what improvements they made to the CA51. And the first thing you see here is enjoy driving pleasure, start your champion road. We've seen this before on their other products. First thing here is the foam, we'll get that to the side. And we have a USB-C to USB-A cord here to charge your car. You have some spare tires on here. This is pretty cool. You have a spare one here so you can change between grip driving or these very smooth and slick hard tires here for your drifting sessions right here. So we'll try both out today. Next, we have a wing or a spoiler here for this specific car. And then we have the remote itself. Pretty cool. We'll talk more about this, but this is a huge improvement compared to their previous radios. And last but not least, we have the car right here. Let's pull this out. And here's your car here in this glass case. Okay, so here it is, the CA51. I have a white version here. This thing is pretty cool. Let's get this out of here. And it obviously comes in a glass case in case you don't want to drive this, or after you're driving this, you can put this on a display shelf like the one I have back there. Now, SNT offers the CA51 in 3 different versions, one with the car by itself, a second option with the remote that I have right here, which is the RTR version, and a third version here with the FPV camera and FPV goggles. I would highly recommend, if this is your first SNT product, that you go for the FPV version, especially if you're gonna race among other people like friends and family members. So I'll leave links to these down below, but because I already have the goggles and camera, I did get the RTR version. So let's take a closer look at this CA51. And this thing here looks pretty impressive. The first thing that it reminds me of is a Golf GTI or a Golf R, which is pretty cool because that's a very popular car among car enthusiasts. So they're choosing a pretty good cars. They've actually chosen some pretty cool cars in the past as well. So this is no exception here. And I like this kind of a black and white theme here, the panda theme here. And that's also a popular theme among other car enthusiasts as well. Maybe in the future they can maybe have some kind of carbon fiber in the top here, or maybe a carbon fiber like pattern on the top here to make this look even more realistic. The second thing is how heavy this thing here feels compared to some of the other cars and trucks in their fleet. For example, this other smaller car here, this one here is substantially larger. This is actually a 143 scale car, which is a little bit bigger compared to the smaller 150 scale here that we have of the past. Now, SNT is no stranger to the details of these cars. They usually include a lot of details, including even spoilers, exhausts, down to even the lights. These things have really working headlights and taillights, even underglow, even down to turn signals and reverse lights. So we'll see how this looks as well, but it looks really nice. The mirrors on here look very realistic, and even down to the wheels and tires, guys. Now, they've chosen a pretty impressive wheel and tire setup here. This is for actually grip driving on here. And the cool thing about this one here is that it is replaceable. You have a little screw in here. You can replace and remove the wheels. And the last time I checked, you can actually get replacement wheels or alternate wheels for these cars. So SNT is doing a good job giving you the ability to customize your own car. Having said that, these ones here are on some kind of like TE37 wheels. This is a very popular wheel in the automotive scene, and it's cool they have it here on this car. Besides that, on top here you have this little sunroof looking thing, and that's actually the actual access connectors for your FPV camera. You can remove it, then just put this FPV camera on top here, and now you have an FPV view for your goggles. And most of the time I usually like to drive in that mode right here. Now in the back here you have 2 holes or 2 slots in here, and that is for your included spoiler on here. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't just click into place. You actually have to glue it in place. Now, I won't include the added spoiler to this car only because I kind of like the look without it on here. And it does emulate the GTI or Golf R more accurately here without it. So that's pretty cool. Besides that, you also have a diffuser on the bottom here as well as twin exhaust, which is very reminiscent of the actual car. It's pretty cool because we actually own one of these cars currently in our fleet here. Now, going under the car is pretty straightforward and simple. We have one button here and a port. This first button here is the power button, as well as the bind button in case you want to bind a new radio to the car, as well as a USB-C port. We talked about this right here. And this USB-C cable does charge the battery in here. Now, this is a larger 1S battery, and you can get around 15 minutes of drive time with the FPV camera or 25 minutes without the camera. So that's pretty impressive overall. Now besides that, it looks very simple on the hair, but they've done a lot of improvements on this car. It is smoother on the hair, but the big thing here is the independent suspension, both front and rear. It is pretty impressive. Now that's gonna give you better ride quality when you're racing, as well as hopefully a smoother camera feed from the FPV camera here. Now besides that, overall, it looks pretty straightforward, but this is also an all-wheel drive car or a four-wheel drive car. And you can see the big improvements here because in the previous one, you can see all this complex stuff here, suspension pieces, but everything here is integrated very flat into this car. So they put a lot of work and engineering into this to make it very realistic, like a real car. Now, if you do break something on this car, want to do some repairs, do some upgrades, you can access most of the electronics by actually removing the actual car from the chassis. Now, you couldn't really do that on the other cars. You would have to unscrew it. This one here is very straightforward. You have a little gap right here, and you can just put your finger in here and just lift this up. It props up a little bit, and then you can just kind of like peel it backwards and get access to all the components in the car. It is held up by magnets. And it's pretty cool because most of the other cars, it was soldered on. You do now have plugs on here, so you can remove the actual car body from the chassis. Now, having said that, they also do sell these bodies separately, so you can customize it any way you want to, which is a pretty cool touch by SNT. But it's cool to see all the improvements on here, including a larger battery, larger motors on here, and then the all-wheel drive system with a redesigned steering mechanism in here as well. Okay, so let's take this CA51 for its first drive. Now, the setup of this whole system here is very straightforward and simple. We'll start off here with the remote. This one here is a redesign of their original remote. And there is some replacements of the buttons and switches on here, but there's also more features on this remote overall. Now, they kept some of the benefits of the other radios, like this canted design steering wheel here, and this big old wheel here obviously turns the front wheel to steer the car left or right. Now, on top of it, you have 4 buttons here. You have the first one here, which is the headlamp switch or button, and that's to turn on and off the headlamps. Next one is the chassis. This is for the underglow lights on the chassis. Then you have FPV Vox, and that's to turn on and off your FPV camera on the car, as well as matching here to actually put this into bind mode to bind the radio to the actual car. Below it, you have an on-off switch. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have 3 switches down here, buttons on here. You have a brake to apply the brake. A P1 here, this one here isn't clearly defined what it does, but I'm assuming this is to probably bind with multiple cars, but it just says for dual flashing mode, so I don't know what that means. Maybe this will be used in a future car. Now to the left here, you have some additional knobs in here, and this is where you have some major improvements compared to the other radios in the market. Now the first one here says ST trim, and that's to actually center the trim for your steering in case the car is drifting left to right. You can have that trimmed out. Now previously that was in the back here, and that's now moved to the knob on here. Next one here is STDR, and that's your steering, I guess, angle here. Now you can limit the angle for your drifting. If you want more steering angle, you can increase that so you have better drifts, or if you have too much, you can dial it back a little bit. Below it, you also have a gyro knob on here. Now I don't think there's a gyroscope in this car. I think that's for a future model, but it'd be cool if this did have one on here. But I didn't see any specs saying that this car had a gyro, but that also helps and aids with the driftability of these cars. Last but not least, we have a THDR, and that increases the sensitivity or power output for these motors. So if you have too much power, you can dial it back, or if you don't have enough, you can increase it. And that's specially applied for drift driving here. So pretty cool overall. You have your trigger here, and that's for to go forward and to go backwards as well. Underneath here, you have your compartment here for your batteries. Now this can take either an 18650 battery, or in this case, this one here has a triple A battery setup in this compartment right here. So first thing here, you're gonna pull this out. The battery's already included here. I had the switch on, so that's different. You can turn that off. Okay, let's set up the FPV camera here. Now you can get this with or without the FPV camera. If you don't have one, no big deal. You can have just as much fun doing line of sight driving here. So we'll put this on here. It's attached, held down by magnets. We're gonna power on our goggles here, unfold my antennas, or actually, if you don't have your antennas already attached, attach it to the actual goggles. And you have a power button right here, we'll put that on, and then your screen should come alive. Now this may not be bound to the camera yet. We'll see what channel it's on, it might be. Now to put the car on, it's pretty simple. Just hit that button right here once and the car should power on. And you can see all the lights on this thing. It's bound. We also have a light back here, so the FPV camera is also on. And as you can see, we have an image very clear camera. This does give you an immersive feel. Now you can easily turn that FPV camera on or off with the remote right here. We can hit the FPV box button and that should turn this off. And there you go, back to static and then back on. For right now we'll turn it off. We just want to drive this on the table here. It's fast. I'm also impressed and intrigued of how fast it is. Let's take a look at some of the lights on here, which is pretty cool. Lights are off. That's low. That's bright. And then we can do the turn signals. Turn signals left, right. It's pretty cool. And the underglow is on. You can see that glow in there, changing colors. And then reverse lights, brake lights. So it's pretty functional, guys. Really, really cool. But let's take it for a drive here. This thing here should accelerate a lot faster because it's all-wheel drive. It's actually the first car with four-wheel drive. We had the truck, and it wasn't as, I don't think as fast as this or nimble as this. This was made more for like crawling, so there's more torque. But this one here is the first car, so it should accelerate pretty fast. And I'm barely touching the gas pedal, and it's moving. Oh yeah. It is fast. Yeah, this is probably their fastest car. And I have it here. It was set to default as like 50%. Let's turn it down. Let's see how much it changes it. All right. Okay. This is probably as fast as their first car, and this is at 0%. This is the lowest setting on here. Dude, this motor has some punch to it. All right, so not that we need more than that. Let's go to 100%. Jesus. I'm barely touching the throttle. You see how fast that is? Oh my gosh. Wow. It's too fast. Yeah, that's too much power. Like that's amazing. The fact that you have too much power, like if you had this on a pretty grippy track, probably you could use that. This would be good for drag racing too if this surface is too smooth. I have a track down there, obviously. I usually race these cars on this track. I want to just give it a go here. I'm going to turn it down. It's just too high. I'll do this live and just see how fast it is. I have it like around, that's probably 80%. Oh yeah. That carpet has more grip. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's cool. I like that. I like the fact that I can tweak the settings. The steering angle on here is pretty good, but I don't need that much power. I think I'll go back to 50%. All right, so let's put this off. I want to change the tires on this, put the drift tires in here. You can go about this two ways. You can probably try to remove these tires with the wheel on the car, or you can remove the wheel. Oh, okay. That didn't seem too bad. Here's your grippy tires. Let's see if I can put it back on here. Whew. I wonder if I can get away with just the rear ones having the drift tires. Let's try it. It looks like the front has too much traction. I think I need to change all four to the drift tires. I gotta be careful with this front one, with the steering. You don't want to damage this steering column. I would recommend that you guys take it off. All right, we're in all drift now. You can see how slippery it is now. All right. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I got the hang of it pretty quickly. I'll try to keep it in the center so you guys can see it, hopefully. Hopefully you guys saw that. This thing is fun. I can see myself spending a lot of time messing with this thing. You gotta be really good with the trigger. Let's see if the gyro makes any difference. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit here. It's at 45. Let's see if that makes any difference. That's cool. I don't know if it makes much difference. Turn the gyro down to 0 and see what happens. It's pretty cool, guys. Even the weight in the back here, I like the weight distribution. The rear of the car has a bit more weight, so you can actually get the tail end to keep sliding. I don't know how well the gyro is working. I'll do some more testing on this, but I didn't see any significant difference with the gyro knob. Maybe that's for a future car. But so far, guys, I'm having a blast in this. I'll be doing a lot more driving with this here in the next couple of days. So who is this car for, guys? Well, if you can't really go outside, say it's winter season, or as we call whoop season in the FPV world, then SNT has made a lot of cars here to drive and have fun indoors. You've seen my videos, guys, with me driving this thing on the track. It's pretty amazing, especially if you have more than one car. So to have a car here where you can just change the tires, it has all-wheel drive. You can adjust the amount of torque and power to the tires. You can customize the steering angle. It gives you a lot more customizability. Oh, that's not a word. It gives you a lot more ability to customize the car and the driving style, both for the car and for you. If you like it really sharp and a lot more power, then you can add that. I'm gonna test this car some more, as I said before, on a bigger open space. And yeah, guys, this thing should be able to carry a lot more speed, maybe on some tiles. I don't think it's gonna work on the surface. I can try it, but I doubt it's gonna work. Do I dare even try it? It can do it, actually. So yeah, guys, this thing is super fun. I can't lie. I keep saying it every time they build a car. I said that this was their best car yet, this SUV here. And this would be good for off-roading. Not so good for like racing, but this right here is perfect, guys. I guess the next step here is that I wish SNT would make like a actual track. They do have a track, but it's for grip racing. But for drifting, I wish they would make a tabletop drift track. Some other manufacturers make it. They're hard to get, very, very hard to get, and they're expensive. So if SNT can make like a track for these cars, that'd be amazing, guys. So if you're interested in these two cars or all these SNT cars, I'll leave links down below where you can find it, guys. Let me know what you think about this C51 down below, guys. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.